Greetings, 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 greetings. Sorry, distraction. So, thank you, JS. We are in a very unique period in human history, and it's showing up on the charts, it's showing up in the local economies, it's showing up in people's personal lives, it's showing up on the global landscape. It's mind boggling. And I'm so glad to be here and to actually feel validated and that my own intuition and that my own rants and feelings from years ago are starting to be validated. I mean, I don't want to wish all the worst things that can happen onto people. On the other hand, from my perspective, everything that's happening right now is highly predictable. So for some people, it's just fine. Thank you, JS. Thank you, Marilyn. In my own way, I'm having a wonderful time. I'm dealing with the flip side of it, which is just beyond a mess. On the other hand, look, I'm still here, you know? Got all this. I'm a very lucky man. I'm a very wealthy man. I'm a very happy man. I'm a very blessed man. Okay? I feel very, very fortunate. I know a lot of people are hurting right now, but from my own perspective, I feel very fortunate. I feel like I am guided, I am protected. Okay? Thank you, JS. It's nice to have a bit of validation. I've been doing everything I can to watch as little news as possible because I'm one of those people. I get really sucked up into the vortices of news like Fox headlines, CNN headlines, BBC, hardcore left-wing agendas, hardcore right-wing agendas. Oh my God, there's people in Michigan with guns in the state capitol, inside the building. Woo-hoo. Oh my God, there's people protesting and going out and they're opening up their businesses in defiance of the federal guidelines. Woohoo! All of it's wonderful. I think it's fantastic. We can do this in America. We have rights. We have a constitution. We have the right, freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, and the whole concept of elected leaders. They work for us. Okay, we pay them, they work for us. However, some of you have figured out that everything has been kind of flipped around, right? Ha! Thank you, JS. Clickbait is tempting. Yes, it's very, very true. It's very true. It's so easy to get sucked up into the fear, the dynamics of fear. Fear is just saturating the planet right now. Basically, the fear of death. Literally, the fear of death. Oh my God, what happens if I breathe the air of that person? I could die. Okay, so, I'm not an expert on world history or anything like that, but I was just watching something last night, and after the show, I checked out some statistics. Okay, wrap your head around this. Back in around the time of World War II, the population of Earth was about 2 billion people. Okay? That's what is it, 80, 90 years ago? There are people alive today who lived through World War II. I don't think there's many people alive today who lived through World War I, but there's people who lived through World War II. Okay, so just to put things in perspective, the world population back around 1939, 1945 was about 2 billion. 2 billion people. Here we are, roughly whatever it is, 90 years later, we are at 7.5 billion. Okay, now let's keep going. During World War II, approximately 70 million people were killed in war. Okay, 70 million. Okay, did that have any impact or any negative pressure on Homo sapiens reproducing and growing its population, despite all the death, the destruction? No, not at all. In fact, just the opposite. We exploded in our population. Thank you very, very much. Here we are today, 7.5 billion people on the in the world, human population, give or take. And let me just see the notes from JS. I don't want to minimize the suffering and dismiss the death toll, but has everyone forgotten that death is looming for us all and happens every day? Thank you. Now, I don't really want to take sides here. I'm just trying to put out some thoughts so people can, think for themselves and figure out, like, well, how does this relate to me? Okay, so here we are, fast forward in end of May 2020. From my perspective, this is a historical moment in global history, in human history. That's why I wrote about it in my book, Global Restructuring 2020, Wealth, Money, Finance. I see most of the restructuring in the world of wealth and money and finance, okay? Now, the catalyst, like the backdrop to everything that's happening right now, is this China virus, this COVID thing, okay? It's out there, and it's a little bit of a strange virus because it has a lot of characteristics that have never been exhibited before in a virus. We had the Great Plague, we had the bubonic plague, we had the Spanish flu. We've had all sorts of like global catastrophes, but Homo sapiens is really, really good at reproducing itself at phenomenal capabilities, okay? So it doesn't matter, okay? Thank you. Happy-go-lucky is saying here, by the way, people still want to experience and know about love, like no matter what's happening out there. Thank you very much, happy-go-lucky. So, again, let's get to perspectives here. Now, today, here we are, May 2020. We have 7.5 billion people on this planet, give or take, a few 100 million people. We have on record that we have about close to, 3.7, like 4 million registered cases of the virus. And we have about 400,000 dead people from the virus. So statistically, that's not a big deal at all. It doesn't mean anything. It's absolutely nothing. Where it becomes a problem in terms of comparative statistics is that there's always hundreds of thousands of people dying every day. There's always hundreds of thousands of people being born every day. The difference with this particular virus is that it's way off the charts. The infection level is extremely high, and the death rate is extremely high for just a random brand new virus. And all of that is a new precedent. We've already had things like SARS and MERS, and the flus and the pig flus, swine flus, and all of that. That's fine, but this particular virus is completely off the charts. And I see this as a fantastic global reality check. And what had to happen, which was inevitable, is the reality check police are now active. And it is this virus that has triggered the activation in humanity, okay? Hey, Queen of Water, I see you. Queen of Water, this is just a Terra Illumination rant, okay? It's Friday night in Las Vegas on the west coast of America. And I felt compelled to put this little show tonight because I just wanted to share some things with you that I feel are very important, and I want to put it on record, okay? So I've been ranting. So in terms of perspective, sure, there's a lot of suffering. Sure, there's a lot of pain. 500,000 people just died in the last 2 months because of this virus. almost 4 million people have been infected. Okay, that's kind of a big deal because it takes the normal statistic charts of birth and death. There's natural birth and death. Okay, the charts go like this, but with the COVID Chinese virus thing, it goes like this. Okay, so that's what's scaring the shit out of everybody. So I understand people's concern, and why I can understand why all the global leaders are acting in ways to try and protect their population. That's their job. The number one job of President Trump is to protect the population of the United States. That is his number one mandate. Forget everything else. It doesn't matter how ugly he is, or how stupid he is, or how outrageous he is, or how completely insane he is. None of that matters, so long as he does his job, which is to protect the American population and abide by the Constitution. Some people think he's not doing that. Some people think he is doing that. And it's your choice, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Queen of Water. Thank you, JS. So what I'm trying to do is take a neutral position, because for everybody out there who loves Donald Trump, there's someone else who hates Donald Trump. He is there to personify and to carry the human three-dimensional, let's say, experience of someone who has to live through this in such a way that whoever has that job, whoever is the president of the United States at this time, is guaranteed to be blamed for anything and everything that goes wrong on planet Earth. Everything is going to be blamed on the president of America. And that's just how it is. And why is that so? It's because the United States has a very unique position in the global economy. We can print our own money however we want, and nobody can stop us, and nobody can devalue our currency. We can print money through the Federal Reserve, and then the US Treasury can buy it, okay? So we can create infinite supplies of money to pay for ourselves. But a lot of people see that, okay, well, we're just creating this massive debt bubble, which is true, okay? And we're creating a scenario for massive inflation, which is true, okay? But the reality is nobody on Earth has ever been in this position before. Almost everybody on Earth knows how bad it is to have debt. Debt sucks, okay? Whether you're a big corporation, or whether you're a college student, or whether you're a blue-collar employee, worker, or whether you're a white-collar, high-income, it doesn't matter. Debt sucks. But that's how the world operates now. The whole planet is operating, especially the United States, is operating as a debt farm, okay? And that's what we're living in right now. The United States debt farm is suffering the same kind of experience that happens when you look at a corporate factory chicken farm that gets infected by a virus, and 100,000 chickens die overnight. Okay? That's basically what's happening. And the reason it's happening is because the people who own the debt farm, which is the Federal Reserve of the United States of America, and the operators of the debt farm, which is the federal government of the United States of America, they work in collusion together to operate a massive debt farm. Everybody in the United States is basically a debt cow. Imagine yourself as a cow on a debt farm. If you are born and raised in the last 50, 60, 70 years, you're a debt cow, whether you like it or know it or not, because almost everybody in the United States carries debt. So you've been preconditioned to operate and live as a debt cow. You don't know anything else. You wouldn't know anything else. There's nothing good or nothing bad about it. You're just a debt cow on a debt farm, okay? And now we're living out the consequences of what happens when you grow and expand and continue to push the debt farm to the limit. Eventually, the debt cows collapse. It's just the same when you look at a factory farming for cows where they harvest all the milk, okay, and all the meat. It's the same way they were on a chicken farm, okay? America is the #1 expert at running factory chicken farms, factory pig farms, factory beef farms, okay? And when those farms collapse, it's the same thing that's happening inside the American economy. All the debt cows go down. And so, have you noticed that there's a common word to everything I'm saying right now? The word is debt, D-E-B-T. And since the whole farm is built on debt, the whole idea is that the Federal Reserve and the federal government, what they're doing is they are milking the debt cows. That's what they do. That's how they do it, the way they do it. It's very, very, very simple. And they've taken it to the limit as far as we can go. They are milking the debt cows, milking the debt farm as far as they can, and they don't have a backup plan. So what they're doing is pumping more money in, pumping the money, trillions, 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 and trillions of dollars of more money being pumped into the economy, okay? And there's only so far. Just imagine you're a debt cow and you're already on the floor. Your legs have collapsed, your udder is bleeding, and you can't get up. And then somebody who's operating the debt farm comes at you with a taser, stabs you with a taser, and you jump up and you twitch for a while, and then they pump more money, hormones into you so that you can create more milk and beef and leather and all of that. Those are the dying convulsions of a debt farm collapsing. And that's what's happening right now. Because guess what? Everybody in the world is copying the American debt farm. They're trying to, because they don't have any other way to operate. Because if they don't operate a debt farm, they can't connect with the debt farm of the United States of America. And so the way I look at it, it's a massive global reality check that's happening right now. It's almost like the whole of planet Earth has learned from itself and each other how to operate a debt farm. So that's what we're doing. And in the global reality check that's happening right now, we are now witnessing what happens when you take a debt farm to the limit of its ability to cope, to the limit of the ability where the cows on the debt farm can't stand up anymore. They can't produce any more cream. They can't produce any more milk. They can't produce any more meat because they're already tapped out. They're already maxed out. Hello, Juan Ariano. Okay, Hawaii's in the house. So, JS, you've noticed about it. So in the United States, there's people over there in Michigan, and there's armed militias going into the Capitol building in militia. And guess why? They're doing it because they can, because the American Constitution allows us freedom of speech and the right to bear arms. So the people who are pissed off with the federal government and the Federal Reserve, they're making decisions like, hey, wait a minute, we have rights, okay? We, the people, have rights. We have the right to bear arms. We have the right to freedom of speech. So that's what we're going to do. We can have open arms, open carry. So that's what they did. And then at the other extreme, there's I would call, on the other extreme of the economy and the politics, there's the ultra left-wing groups who are trying to control and command the economy through authoritarian dictatorships, basically like what they do in communist China. So you've got these two polarizations, like communist dictatorship, authoritarianism. We have to protect our people. We have to stop the virus. We need to do everything. You need to stop doing this. And everyone else over here on this side is saying, excuse me, I don't give a shit what you're saying. I want to live my life. And if I get infected, fine. And I'm sorry if I infected someone else. I can't control this virus. And so you get these two opposing factions, and each faction has every reason to justify and stand by their beliefs. And in the United States, we can do that. We're extremely fortunate in the United States that we can do both things. We can operate like hardcore left-wing, communist dictatorships. We can operate like hardcore right-wing libertarians. We can do that here because it's built into our Constitution with the right to free speech, the right to bear arms, the right to protect ourselves, defend our money, protect our privacy, protect our institutions, and to the ability with freedom of speech to call out our leaders, the ability to hold our leaders accountable if necessary at the end of a gun. We can do that in the United States. We have the right to do that. The people who are in elected offices don't really like that, so they try to suppress freedom of speech. They try to suppress the right to bear arms, which is understandable, because crazy people who go ranting on YouTube about all these insane things, in some cases deserve to be shut down. Crazy people who insist on open carry guns into state capitals, they have a reason to be regarded as very frightening people. On the other hand, they didn't shoot anybody, they didn't kill anybody. Hello. Anyway, thank you for listening. I'm having my rant. What I'd like to do right now is point out some calendar moments. If anyone's watching this, I don't know how many people are here. It shows over here on my channel, it shows that there are 0 people watching, so I don't know who's here. There's a few people in the chat. I'm very glad that you're here. So give me a moment. I'm going to do something slightly off screen, if you don't mind. There we go. There we go. Hey, Nikki. Hi, Nikki. This is Terra Illumination. Nice to see you. Cheers. So, before I get too completely discombobulated on my rant, because all I'm doing is voicing my personal opinions, okay? These are just my feelings, my opinions. I can't prove anything that I said. It's just an opinion, okay? So I'm going to share a few things with you. This is what it looks like on paper. Okay, so can you see this? The reason I'm having this rant right now is because I've been receiving messages from people who are telling me that their fuses are blowing, okay? Zap, zap, zap. Hello, Robin. Hi, Robin. Hello, Marilyn. Isn't that strange? Let me show this to you again. As of today, right now, in the United States, 22nd of May, 2020, this is what is going on. Okay, right now, okay, we have 4 retrogrades. That's a big deal, okay? We have Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. All of them are retrograde right now. It all happened in the last 10 days, roughly, okay? So look at it in a really simplistic terms. That's a huge amount of energy of the planet's coming at you saying, excuse me, hold on a minute. We need to backtrack. We need to revise, rewind, reevaluate everything that just happened regarding the energy of my particular planet. Okay, so Venus, right now, Venus rules money, day-to-day money, okay? Venus is saying, hey, wait a minute, everybody. What does money mean to you? Is money currency? Is currency money? Is the dollar note in your wallet this thing? Let me show you here. Okay. All right. What does that really mean? Okay. When the people who operate the debt farm, that is the Federal Reserve and the federal government, they're basically manipulating this. Okay. So what is the true value of your dollar? Okay, just something to think about. Hey, wait a minute. Venus in Mercury. Okay, remember, sorry, Venus is in Gemini right now, retrograde. Venus rules money. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the planet of day-to-day business activities like ATM machine checkouts, administration, emails, phone calls, Zoom meetings, accountability, the exchange of money for services, the exchange of services for money. All of that is now deeply, deeply in question. Okay, let's look at Jupiter. Jupiter is in Capricorn retrograde. Okay, so think about it. Like Jupiter expands everything. Jupiter is the magnificent healer, the magnificent optimist, the one that always believes and knows it's always right all the time. Wait a minute. In Capricorn, maybe that's not true. Maybe Jupiter in Capricorn retrograde is saying like, I'm sorry, excuse me, I am Jupiter. And I am in Capricorn right now, and I really, really want the best for everybody who's interested in business and success and growth and everything, and I'm doing everything I can, but it's actually hard for me to operate as Jupiter in Capricorn. And so what I'm suggesting you do is like, please take me with a pinch of salt. Please understand that when Jupiter in Capricorn is going retrograde, it's like, I'm sorry if I led anybody to believe that we could just grow and expand and be more and more successful forever and ever and ever in the world of commerce and business and success and achievement. I'm sorry. I'm realizing now it's not quite true. Sorry. Okay. And then Saturn is in Capricorn. Okay. Very close to Pluto. And Saturn is basically saying, what the fuck? I told you. I am the reality check police. I am Saturn in Capricorn. There's only so much I could do. And if you don't understand it and you don't want to abide by the laws of nature, then it's your problem. I'm trying to help you, people. I am Saturn in Capricorn. I am powerful in Capricorn. Saturn is powerful in Capricorn. And if you don't get it, if you don't understand the implications, I'm sorry, that's your loss. Okay? And then Pluto is in Capricorn here, also retrograde, and Pluto is saying, you know what? I don't really give a shit. I'm just doing what I do. I am the great destroyer. I crush, I pulverize, I diminish. I do what I have to do for myself to keep going. I am the planet of extremes. And so Pluto in Capricorn is saying, like, I want ultimate control, ultimate management. I want complete, let's just say, I want complete domain over the global operating system, basically the global debt farms, extreme wealth, extreme potential, extreme energy, the energy of a plutocracy. And when Pluto goes retrograde in Capricorn, what's happening is we are being asked to reconsider what happens when you have complete, utter corporate control, banking control, government control being exercised without any resistance from the top down. That is basically suppression, and it creates depression, and it creates resistance. And then Pluto says, I'm sorry, that's not workable. So all of that's happening simultaneously. This is the global reality check police when it comes to finances, money, security, corporations, all of that. And we are being held accountable. Human behavior is being held accountable. The United States Federal Reserve banking system is being held accountable. The American federal government is being held accountable. They're both being held accountable simultaneously in how it affects our money, our wealth, our finances, our stability, our security, the security of our country, the security of our homes, our jobs, our money, our resources. All of it is being questioned, and all of it is showing its fragilities. And that's what's happening right now. And for millions of people, it's very, very, very painful. So if you're one of the lucky ones, JS, who's actually having a good time right now, maybe you did something right in a past life, or maybe you've done something right in this lifetime to deserve it. But there are hundreds of millions of people all over the planet now who are suffering like this. Look at Lebanon. Lebanon, the whole economy is collapsing. Look at parts of Northern Africa. The whole economy's, Nigeria, collapsing. Look at Argentina, collapsing. The currency is collapsing. Look at Iran. The currency is collapsing, okay? And they don't have any control over it because it's all happening as a side effect of what's happening in the United States, because the United States is the #1 expert at operating a globalized debt farm. And we are also discovering what happens when you take it too far. The infrastructure of the debt farm is collapsing. So that's what's happening right now. Let me move on. Next, we have a new moon in Gemini. It just happened right now. We're in the very early stages. 2 degrees, 5 degrees, the sun in Gemini and the moon in Gemini, okay? Right now, today, on this video, we have the sun, moon, Mercury, and Venus in Gemini. That's a lot of Gemini energy. So that's affecting everybody on the planet. If you happen to feel overstimulated, jittery, anxious, let's say, almost like your mental fuses are blowing, that would be understandable right now, okay? Because this is an awful lot of energy to have piled up in one sign right now. Now, let's keep going on top of that. The North Node just entered Gemini at 29 degrees here, okay? So in terms of like an astrological pie chart, you know I do the pizza things, the astrological pizza sign. When you look at Gemini, okay, on a global scale, we have covered the whole of the pizza slice, 30 degrees, from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees with the sun and the moon, all the way through Mercury and Venus, and then all the way to the North Node at 29 degrees Gemini. So we're saturated in Gemini energy right now, which for a lot of people, it's just like, it's almost too much. So if you're getting any of that, that's normal, okay? Okay, I'm going to keep going. I've got a couple of notes to present here. Next, the North Node just moved into Gemini, okay? So this is a radical shift, okay? The North Node is at 29 degrees Gemini. The south node in Sagittarius, 29 degrees, okay? So it's like there's this massive, like, global shift in energies where we have been living so long, you know, with the whole idea of that we know better, we're smarter, we are immune to our own, let's say, excessive indulgences. We are immune to our outrageous self-righteousness. But we're not. And so the Gemini North Node is taking us towards another reality check, like, hey, wait a minute. Let's take all this great wisdom and knowledge and experience over the last 20 years. What does that mean for us today, right now, in the Gemini North Node? Well, the reality check is that we have a lot to account for in anything that is to do with our outrageous assumptions that we are always right all the time, and we can just continue to grow and expand and live in perpetual debt. Perpetual, it's like having an infinity credit card. Literally, just imagine that you're a trust fund baby kid and you have an ultra rich mommy and daddy, and they're irresponsible, and they just said, listen, kid, you're just going to grow up. You'll have to figure it out. In the meantime, I'm going to give you a credit card. You can do whatever you want with it. If you run out of money, I'll extend your credit. If you burn up 10,000, I'll give you 100,000. If you burn up 100,000, I'll give you 1,000,000. If you burn up 1,000,000, I'll give you 10 million. So don't worry, my dear child. You'll be just fine. You can't raise a child like that. You can't run a country like that, okay? It's borderline insanity. So what's happening is we're coming into like a financial reckoning on a global scale. On a global scale. Accountability. All that Capricorn energy. Accountability regarding money. Okay, money, money, money. Next, I'm just going to keep going with this one, and I'm going to tell you how all of this relates to the United States, okay? So please be aware, okay, in terms of calendar moments, I highly recommend that you mark your calendars right now, today. Mark your calendars. We have eclipses pending. June the 5th, okay? It's coming up very soon. We've just had the Gemini new moon, okay? In a couple weeks from now, we're going to have a full moon. The moon is going to be in Sagittarius. The sun is going to be in Gemini, okay? And it is an eclipse, okay? We've done shows on this channel. You know what I feel about eclipses. I feel eclipses are evolutionary gateways where we are squeezed into an energy field, pushed upward, and then squeezed out to where we go into our future, and there's no going back. And how you deal with that is your business. If you refuse to go with the energy of the eclipses, if you are in total denial of nature, physics, then you will suffer, okay? However, if you allow yourself to evolve, shift, change, adapt, grow, then you can survive. You may even thrive, okay? But that's your decision. You don't have to abide by the eclipse energies. You can just say, fuck you, I'm just going to be who I am and do what I do. And then the eclipses kind of go like, okay, you're going to wish you had never said that. Bye-bye. So that's number one. Number two, look at this one. June 21st. It is a new moon eclipse, okay? June 21st. The sun is in Cancer. The moon is in Cancer. Guess what? That's highly relevant to the United States. When we come to the full moon, the sun will be in Cancer. The moon will be in Capricorn. That is highly relevant to the United States, okay? So let me connect the dots here. I did a video a while ago. You see this thing here? The North Node is in Gemini. Guess what? If you look at the astrology of the United States is born with the North Node in Gemini. Okay? So we're coming into a huge historical moment for the growth and the maturation of the United States. That means the United States was born with the South Node in Sagittarius. So let's look at that as in terms of a characteristic. The United States tends to have, if you look at it as a person, it has a characteristic of like, we are always right. We're amazing. We like to have fun. We like to do things bigger, faster, better than anyone. Look at America. We have more debt. We have more money. We have more millionaires. We have more billionaires. And soon we're going to have a trillionaire. Okay? We have so much like the opposite of that stuff. We have so much chaos in our healthcare systems, so much fraud and deception in our banking, in our federal government, in the Federal Reserve. But we do it because we can. And we feel like, oh, who cares? Who is going to stop us? Who's going to stop me? Pretend I'm the Federal Reserve, okay? And somebody says, hello, Mr. Powell. You can't keep doing what you're doing. Mr. Powell is going to look at you and go like, excuse me, you little turd. I am the Federal Reserve. I own the debt farm, and I do whatever the fuck I want. And then you kind of go, oh, okay. And by the way, I'm just going to remind you that the federal government works for me, okay? And if you think that the federal government works for you, then you're deluded because we have taken over. The federal government and the Federal Reserve have taken over the United States economy. We are no longer accountable. I am the Federal Reserve. I don't answer to anybody. I print as much money as I want, whenever I want, because I can. And that's how I solve all my problems, and nobody can stop me. And the people who make that happen for me, the Federal Reserve, is the federal government. So, who do you think you are challenging the Federal Reserve and the federal government? Okay, so that's a big problem. And that's happening right now. But there are people in the United States who are basically saying like, you know what? This is not cool. This is not how we built our country. This is not the Constitution. Okay? So let's go back to this. The United States is, if you look at the United States as a person, the United States is going to be going through some massive convulsions, massive reality checks, okay? And everyone else on earth who is not American, everyone who is outside of the United States, outside of the American debt farm, is going to be observing, because what happens here affects the rest of the planet Earth. And it's all going to start to build up throughout 2020. Okay, in my book, Wealth, Money, Finance, Global Restructuring 2020, I pinpointed an exact time in history when the shitstorm would happen. And that happened January 2020, like clockwork. Basically, it's like a bomb, okay? In January 2020, when I look at the astrology, it's like dropping a nuclear bomb on planet Earth. And now, here we are, January, February, March, April, May. 5 months later, we are now dealing with the aftershocks of what happened when the bomb actually dropped. And the bomb is so big, and it reverberates in shockwaves across the planet, that we don't have a choice to ignore it. Everybody on planet Earth, whether you're in Russia, Central America, South America, in the Amazon jungles, in the sub-Saharan Africa, if you're in Lebanon, Iran, the Middle East, Australia, New Zealand, India, China, you're feeling the shockwaves We're just in the early stages of the shock waves. The shock waves have not actually delivered the destruction that comes with the shock waves, okay? So I hope you understand that. So even though there are places across the United States and across the world who are excitedly and defiantly going out and living their lives again because they want to and because they can, and who's going to stop them? Great. Good luck. I wish you all the best. But when you come down to the fundamentals of the raw economy, okay, all this stuff here, we're in deeper shit than we've ever been before, and it's going to get worse. Okay? So there's my rant. That's my rant. I had my rant. I'm going to share a couple of other things with you now, folks. I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones. I was aware of all this stuff that's happening years ago, and I prepared myself. I wrote a book, and one of the opening pages is protect your money, protect your privacy, protect yourself. Okay? You can extend that. Protect your family, protect your loved ones, protect your bank account, protect your passwords, protect your health. All of it, okay? So that's what I'm trying to do right now, and it's hard to do. Sometimes it takes work. There are a lot of people who are just completely caught by this whole thing because they believed in the debt farm. There are a lot of people who live in the United States on the debt farm as debt cows. A lot of debt cows, most debt cows are not aware that they are debt cows. They are simply living organisms that have been born and raised and conditioned on a debt farm. Their moms and dads were debt cows. Their children are debt cows. They're living on the debt farm. They don't know anything else. And so for the people who are really suffering on the debt farm, it's inevitable. You can't help them. It's not their fault. It's just bad shit for the people who were basically unaware or unprepared. Luckily for some of the people, hello? Yeah. Hey, Diana, I see you. So, actually, I don't really want to rant anymore. I'm going to just hang out with you guys for a little bit. Cheers. The important thing about this video is I want to get a few bits of information on record for all of you. You heard it here first at Termination. There's a reason why so many people who are contacting me recently are saying that they're freaking out. All of this stuff here, it's very easily to translate that and look at that as fuses blowing, infrastructure collapsing, okay? So don't worry about it. This is normal, okay? This is what is. This is reality. This is the reality check. So mark your calendars. The big ones to note right now is number one, the new moon in Gemini right now, okay? And then in 2 weeks, June the 5th, okay? The full moon, okay? Eclipse. And then June 21st, another eclipse. Both these energies are highly relevant to like the astrological profile of the United States. So these are very, very important eclipses on the individual level for you as an individual and for the United States. And because it's so critical for the United States, that means it's going to have a global impact for the rest of the world economy, okay? Hello, Fritali. Hello, Valdina Villanueva. Hello, I see you. Okay. So cheers. Thank you for listening. I'm going to finish my beer now. How's everybody doing? Thank you for listening, by the way. Oh, you know what? JS has a question. What changes due to COVID do you think will become permanent? I think one change will be that human beings will start to become aware of how toxic we are to each other. I think what's going to happen, it is an indelible print, okay? Like being a it's like it's like a stab wound that's happening right now. I think the most important change that will be permanent is an acute realization that humanity has become toxic to itself. There's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to hide. Everywhere on planet Earth has been infected by this virus. Okay? The virus is just doing what it does. But the message is that we have come so far in human population, or what I call overpopulation, that everyone has to, JS, you used specific words, permanent. What changes are permanent? I think one of the permanent changes is that humanity has to realize that we have expanded to the very limits of our capacity, okay? If we keep expanding and assuming that we can do whatever we want, however we want, through the Sagittarius South Node, then we are going to guarantee our own demise. If we wake up to the reality, the new knowledge, the new teachings, the new information, that we have reached like a threshold point where you look at anybody on the street, anybody that you bump into on the street is now a potential infecting agent to you. What are you going to do about it? You can say, oh, fuck it, I'm just not going to wear a mask. I don't care, I'm going to die anyway. Or you could say to that person, go home, hide yourself away, you toxic piece of garbage. It doesn't matter what's happening. Everybody is now at risk. Everybody on Earth is potentially an infecting agent to someone else. And that's a permanent realization that we have to understand. Humanity has to understand at a permanent level, we are our own worst enemy. And it is now proven. We can populate ourselves. We can go from 2 billion population on planet Earth in World War II to 7.5 billion here 90 years later. That is a staggering, outrageous expansion in humanity. And so guess what happens? It's just like okay, look at a cat litter, okay? You know, look at a box. Like you can only have so much cat shit, cat pee, cat poop in a cat litter before everything and everyone gets infected. And there's nowhere else to put it anymore. I mean, I'm not going to go off ranting about, environmentalism and, the cataclysms and pollution and all that. But we're basically swimming in our own shit. That's where we are right now. We have become so toxic to ourselves. It's just like the cows on the debt farm, the chickens on the debt farm, the pigs on the debt farm. Your neighbor, the pig next door to you, the chicken next door to you, the cow next door to you is your most dangerous enemy because they could be infected and you don't know it. We need to understand that and wake up to that. So how do you get around that? You create more space. I mean, this is going to sound outrageous. You depopulate. You create more space. You dissolve the debt farm. You go back to much more. Okay, I'm going to cancel that. Okay. I had to unlock it. It's on overload, hey? Ivona's on the way to clean the cat litter. Okay, so go back to the debt farm. JS, what changes due to COVID do you think will become permanent? One of the changes is a global permanent realization that we are now toxic to ourselves more than ever before in humanity. Number two, how do we deal with that? We have to clean up. How do we clean up? What is the cleanup campaign? I don't think anyone has a solution yet, because a lot of people just want to go back to the old lifestyle. I want to consume as much food, booze, houses, properties, cars, retail, consume as much as possible. And the corporations want to produce as much as possible. But it's not sustainable anymore, okay? We've never been here before in humanity. Humanity has never been to the point where we have filled up every habitable sector of planet Earth. And we have filled it up to the maximum. We have exploited it to the maximum, and now we have become toxic to ourselves. That is a permanent, unchanging realization that is now evident across the world. What that means, how we deal with that, that's your business. How are you going to clean up your life? How are you going to take care of yourself? How are you going to devolve from the debt farm? What are you going to do to protect your money, your finances, your privacy, your friends, your family, your loved ones? What are you going to do? It's unique to everybody. The problem is global, but the solutions are with the individuals. God, man, I'm not used to this ranting stuff. Hold on. So, I mean, in a way, you have to think it's quite comical. I'm trying to do, I used to be a news junkie, and I'm only watching the smallest amount of news that I can handle to just stay appraised of what's going on. Most of the things that I watch are to do with the financial markets, because that's where I see the real warfare going on, global warfare, the currency markets. Because everybody, if you think of like a massive video game, there's the United States in the middle. We are the originators and the owners of the ultimate debt farm, the Federal Reserve and the federal government. We own that. And because we have made that our business model, everybody on planet Earth who owns and operates a country has to mimic our debt farm. Otherwise, you cannot connect, because every country on Earth is connected to the United States in terms of commerce. Gemini North Node, commerce, the planet of commerce, the planet of day-to-day business. We're all connected. You can't unwind that. It is what it is. And so every country on Earth, whether they like it or not, like there are countries all over Europe right now that are realizing, like, my God, fuck this. We're going to have to print more money. We're going to have to devalue our currency, because if we don't, then we can't compete in the global marketplaces. So America does its devaluation, prints more money. Every other country has to do the same. And where do you end up? Global printing of money. I don't want to go there. I'm not an expert on global finances. I'm going to wrap it up. Cheers, everybody. Oh, here's something I wanted to share with you before I wrap it up. I'm trying to learn how to work smarter, not harder. A lot of you already know that I have stopped doing monthly reports for the Tarot Illumination channel. It just became unviable for me to do that anymore. And I'm now focusing on basically one show per week, which is the Sunday Night Live Super Chat. Thank you very much for everybody who's coming there. Also, I'm focusing on building the Tarot Illumination Love Tribe membership, which is through the Patreon link. The next thing that I'm doing, this is going to take a year until I get used to it. I'm going to start communicating to people directly by email, okay? What I have discovered is that the YouTube channel for Tarot Illumination is very fragile, and Tarot Illumination has been sequestered way over to the far side of viability in terms of having a successful channel. I can't fight that. I can't fight Google. I can't fight YouTube. I have to accept the things how they are. So what am I going to do? What is my business right now? I'm going to focus on direct email to everybody. I'm going to focus on membership, and I'm going to focus on this like super concentrated things that I can do. Things like this little show, things like Sunday Night Live super chats. But I cannot offer the big free readings for everybody every month anymore. I can't handle it. There are plenty of amazing channels out there that can provide you with all the free readings that you want. I'm not going to do it anymore. It does not work for me. Sadly, I wish it did, but it doesn't, thanks to YouTube. Okay, so hello, Diana. I see you. JS, do I study Fibonacci charts? No, I actually I don't. Sorry, JS, I really don't. I know what you're talking about, but I don't actually study them. Okay. I'm going to play a Tarot Illumination song. Okay? I want to leave this little video in a very light-hearted, ephemeral kind of way, because all of us on planet Earth right now, we're facing into these eclipses, okay? We've got the eclipse, okay, the full moon eclipse, June the 5th. We've got the new moon eclipse, June 21st. These are highly significant, highly relevant, highly targeted towards the United States. If you could see the astrology of the United States and then you would see the astrology of the transits right now, you would be stunned, okay? You see this all happening. I see it as a beautiful piece of sacred geometry, a staggering piece of sacred geometry, almost like Fibonacci numbers, Fibonacci patterns, okay? Hey, Carrie. So I'm going to play the song now. It's called Waiting. I am waiting on the will of heaven today. Every day I wake up, I do whatever I can to surrender myself to that which is. I ask for that which is mine to come to me. I ask for that which is not mine to move away. Whatever it is that comes to me is something that needs my attention, my energy, my input. Sometimes it's very challenging. Sometimes it's very rewarding. But I surrender to that. I give myself over to the divine. It's hard to do because it means you have to completely let go of the ego and all of the expectations of the ego. So here's a little song. It's called Waiting. It sounds like this. Okay? Do 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 do.